And of college football, NFL football, and it's tons of college basketball too. It's gonna be tough not to talk about it. I really love talking college hoops. I think Joe, it's her first, taste of college hoops with us, and I think she's a little overwhelmed. I know it can be overwhelming because,
Yeah.
it's just the amount of teams and I think that our familiarity with them can be somewhat intimidating. I can see that
Absolutely.
because we live and die these teams, for many, many years. There's a lot of sites out there and a lot of handicappers, a lot of people. March Madness rolls around, conference tournaments, and all of a sudden, or football season ends, in January, and all of a sudden there are these college basketball experts. But we've already been through the ringer in half the season with these guys before that's even started. We know these guys before they knew themselves, It's like we know these guys. We know them from their old school and their high school and all that other stuff before that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes the difference. Tony, how are you doing in college hoops? You kind of just starting to dip your toe in the water? Or are you still trying to just take it in?
Yeah, I wanted to take it in for the few first days. I had my first premium yesterday with, we got it in with Smiling Tim Miles came in with San Jose State. I was on that dog. Again, it was experience knowing his career, at Colorado State, Nebraska. I know how he's accelerated, how he's been able to beat these lower tier teams. But of course, in the Big Ten, his teams were not good enough to shoot against the power of Big Ten teams.
Yeah. No longer the doormat of the Mountain West, that's for sure. That title belongs to Air Force. But,
Well, Air Force, with Joe Scott, we saw the team go back to their Princeton offense. And if you watch the game, it was on ESPN Plus. It was a standalone game. And they're going back to their old ways of doing things. And I think this team over time may be good. And you're going to see these scores in the 50s again with them.
But they have one player. They have one guy, and it's tough with the one-man teams to me to be able to be able to do. I think Air Force just has a lot of work. I'm not saying they're not going in the right direction. I just think you look at that conference is brutal on top. I mean, even Steve Alford has a good team. This year in Nevada, is good. So I think that we have a lot of good teams this year, and I think the portal. I believe this will be the best year of college basketball ever. Because I believe the portal rules will change. I think there'll be limitations put on that. And, because you look how many guys Texas got out of the portal. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's an entire team. And, you also see, players, doing 1 year and going into the portal. There'll probably be like a 2-year restriction on that or something. And, it's got to be.
I can see that happening. And again, but again, if you're a head coach, you can also benefit from the transfer portal. So it's one of those things. Is it better for the sport? I know I will tell you this. Some teams in who was the team that got impacted? Was it South Dakota? Like those type of schools, they're not going to get transfers. They're going to lose players,
right.
Not get them.
They only lose. It makes the small schools farm systems for the big teams. Is what that does. And sometimes you see the big guys come out of there so they'll get playing time at a smaller school, but the better players transfer out, and you see teams like Oakland where it's just, they are a farm system now. Jacksonville State is the opposite. They're a rescue, for everybody else. And we saw George Washington yesterday and, going into that game against Maryland. They were terrible last year, George Washington. They go into the portal, they get 5 guys, from 5 of the biggest programs in the country. And, college basketball is just one of those sports. It's not like football where you get 25 guys and 4 of them miss. It's not that big of a deal.
Right,
but in college basketball, you might get 2 or 3, total recruits that you can sign on in a year.
2 players can make an impact.
Yeah.
You lose 2 scores from last year, you replenish them with transfers. And let's give situation. It doesn't always work. Ask our buddy Hurley at Arizona State. They brought in transfer size. They couldn't beat UC Riverside last night.
Yeah, I had Riverside in that one, so I felt pretty good about it. But the thing is, I'm going to bet against Bobby Hurley as often as possible. So it makes me almost believe, though, that maybe it wasn't Remy Martin and it was, just Arizona State in general. I thought, him.
They lack size. That whole thing with them, they were small. They lacked size, and that was that's what they tried to address. Hurley tried to address the size issue. They were getting pounded on the glass every night, giving up too much inside scoring. And, the results were
they played
good.
No defense. They played no defense. It wasn't like defense optional. It was no defense. You know, that game against Rhode Island, I think they're still scoring. You know, I think they're still scoring. It was ridiculous. I think there's over 200 points scored in a college basketball game. It's like it just doesn't.
It's kind of like it's like that college football mid-major mentality where I'm just going to outscore you. And that doesn't.
You want to see no size, no speed, and no shooting. You watch Louisiana Monroe tonight. I believe they are the worst team in the nation.
How do you categorize their players again?
Well, they're short, slow, and can't shoot. They are they got really not a lot going for them at all. They lost 101-39 in the opener at Baton Rouge to LSU. Now they play Auburn tonight, so I don't think it's going to get much better for them.
The UCLA Villanova game should be pretty interesting tonight. I
think the issue here, and I said it on the other show, I don't have a premium pick on it or anything. I bet the game, and I bet it twice, but I like Villanova in that game. I just think Mick Cronin, just not great. This is not a good spot for him. Against a quality coach and a quality team early in the season is traditionally a horrible spot for Mick Cronin. And not only that, this guy, he had last year basically the same team that he has this year. I mean, they're awesome. Juzang, the transfer from Kentucky, right? I mean, they had the same guys. He coached them so poorly they had to play in a play-in game. I mean, this team had the athletic ability to go to the Final Four, and basically they could have won the whole thing. They came a shot away, right? Didn't the guy hit the buzzer beater on him from Gonzaga? He jumped up on the scorer's table when he hit the shot or whatever, right? It was like that's how much talent he has. And meanwhile, they had to play in the play-in game.
That is true, and part of the reason that they had some defensive lapses where they couldn't cover an inbound against Stanford, lose at the buzzer there. I just think that UCLA is going to have trouble playing this type of system. UNLV, that should say Villanova runs. They don't see anything like this in the Pac-12, and I think they're going to have trouble trying to guard Villanova.
Yeah, I see Mick Cronin taking out the whiteboard, late in the game. I in-game it, I go for the other team right away. It's like. And Jim Mora Jr. is back in action at UConn. So if you need any new additions to your home, we know how to fund those. He paid for a good portion of mine.
Tonight, one that's really good to see is San Diego State and BYU. I think this is going to be a really great game tonight.
Yeah, revenge spot too for San Diego State after last year when they were ranked at top 5, right? When BYU beat them. That's a good one. There's a lot of good games tonight, and there's a lot of good games tomorrow too. But we got college football. And, we got Gonzaga, Texas tomorrow also. But there's a few games I'm looking at tomorrow. But Gonzaga, Texas obviously is the highlight game for tomorrow. But we've got college football tomorrow as well. And, not the best college football card, really. I mean, we said the same thing last week, and 6 ranked teams went down. So, we could easily see the same thing again this week. Certainly it sets up to be. I mean, we're not going to see Alabama lose to New Mexico, obviously. That's something like that's probably not going to happen. But there's some other certainly losable spots for some big names. Starting with tonight, Cincinnati, South Florida, Boise, Wyoming. Any thoughts on these games, Tony?
Yeah, I always look at the underdog first, but I just couldn't get there with either team. Wyoming's had a lot of issues at the quarterback position with accuracy. And boy, that South Florida performance against Houston, I have to take a few steps back here before looking at the dogs in those games.
South Florida to me is a team that's done most of their damage in garbage time. And it's I don't know if Cincinnati's defense is going to allow it in garbage time. I just don't see them giving it up, especially the way that things are going.
They just when Houston put up 646 yards on USF last week. So that's a scary stat there for me to look at a dog in this one. And Wyoming's issues, again, has been at quarterback. Chambers was ineffective. They haven't really got really consistent quarterback play. Now, Boise State woke up with a good performance last week. So Boise State's a tough team to gauge. I mean, it's been inconsistent. I think that it's been inconsistent. It's been their defense. They're not an elite defensive team anymore. They give them too much yardage here against the conference.
Played in a lot of close games. Joe, any thoughts from change from this morning on these two? Boise?
No, not really. I definitely am leaning on Cincy in that one. And then I'm looking at the under with Wyoming and Boise. I just don't see Boise State and Wyoming putting up a lot of points in this one. I think it's going to be a difficult game. Both defenses going hard. So I like the under. I'm not touching a side, though. I can see a chance where Wyoming does get the cover.
Do you think like our nicknames for some of these college basketball teams are just straight away offensive or just really right on the line?
I think they're right on the line.
All right.
Right on the line.
Just check.
Yeah. You're not getting into the late meat man territory with some of this stuff because he was doing that 20 years ago. Remember that? He has some pretty good stuff.
It can get pretty ugly. No doubt about it.
He had some pretty bad stuff.
Yeah. Not pretty.
I like it.
Not our best side. We got Indiana versus Rutgers. This is the cesspool game right here. Both teams have the same colors. And besides that, well, both have losing records. Temple and Houston. Of course, Indiana also played Ohio State and Cincinnati, the common opponent there. One of the two common opponents. And they got blasted by both of them at home. Temple against Houston. Wisconsin against Northwestern. Wisconsin's running back is gone for the season. Top running back. Baylor against Oklahoma. This one's always seems to be a good one recently. Memphis against East Carolina. UMass against Maine. No line on that sucker yet. SMU and UCF. That should be an interesting one. Louisville and Syracuse. It's a 3-point spread, and Syracuse the king of the 3-point game. Alabama against New Mexico State. Auburn, Mississippi State. Clemson, UConn. The pre-Jim Mora era coming to a close here. I think Mora's using this as a recruiting, I think we played at Clemson. Michigan, Penn State, Kansas State against West Virginia, and that's that noon slot, noon Eastern. Tony, any of these games jump off at you?
Yeah, the ones that jump off, they have circles around is Rutgers, Indiana under 43.5. Big quarterback issues here we know with Indiana now. Rutgers starting quarterback Noah Vedral, he's doubtful with an injury, and the backup doesn't have a lot of experience. Could be Cole Snyder, and he's not. He's only averaging 4.6 yards per attempt, so I would look under in Rutgers, Indiana. I want nothing to do with the underdog in that Houston-Temple game. Temples look terrible, and Houston can run it up if they want. Wisconsin, Northwestern. Wisconsin is going to dominate the line of scrimmage there. We know this Northwestern team is not a reload; they're a rebuild team, and they're going to. I think see them getting crushed at the line of scrimmage. Can Wisconsin cover with that running back out? I don't know. I'm going to stay away from that one. But one dog I do like here is I do like East Carolina because they're getting better play from the quarterback at +6 against the Memphis Tigers.
That guy. That Aaron's, when I see him step on the field earlier this season, it was just like, oh, no, not that guy. I totally had forgotten it was that guy. It was like, oh, no, I forgot about this guy. It was like the first game of the season. He comes trotting out. I was like, oh, man, I totally forgot about this guy. Oh, no.
You got to think like it's horse racing, Mitch. When they bring their maiden voyage, they lose by 10, and then we get back to them in their 6th race, they're out there winning.
Yeah, so. I know, but this guy's like a bad Mac Jones. It's just the check down, check. It's like rounders, check. It's like, it's too much. I can't imagine. We'll get to that game, but I can't imagine Mac Jones checking through his options. Checking through the numbers with Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney chasing after him. I don't think he's gonna have time to go through his receivers like he normally does. Joe, anything in this slot you like?
Yeah, I'm actually loving Baylor plus the points against Oklahoma. I think they're going to have a great day against Oklahoma's defense. They're just not stepping up the way I'd like to see. I think also this is going to be a huge overgame. I think they're going to go back and forth. It's going to be a lot closer than this number is. And then give me Auburn. I think Auburn's going to have a good game against Mississippi State. The favorites is 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 meetings.
I'm just disgusted by Bo Nix after last week's performance. Just really hideous. He's just, this guy, it's like sometimes he looks really good and other times he looks like he did last week, which was just really nasty. I mean, nothing fun about that, And I don't know what he's thinking back there. And it's like, it's almost like there can't be the play they called. It's like you think to yourself, that can't be the play, that they called. And it's like, what are you doing? It's almost like Kirk Cousins in a meaningful game. It's just like, What is he doing back there? I don't know. The decision-making for a guy that's played that many games is just beyond me. So it's
I
tough.
think he's due for a huge bounce back.
Oh God,
he's got to bounce back.
Never do.
He's got to.
Never do.
Right? He's all the way at the bottom right now. He's got to come up.
It's so weird that Mike Leach at Mississippi State actually has a good defense.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, the defense looks pretty good here for Mississippi State. We're looking here at Mix here, lost at the Aggies, only 3.7 yards per pass attempt, 2 turnovers. And what have you noticed? One thing, he has struggled against the better defenses. You look at Mix's performance, when he faced Penn State, just 5 yards per attempt. He was under 6 yards per attempt against LSU, Georgia State, and Georgia as well. So I would look at the dog in that.
I think a great bowl matchup, and this is the problem with bowl tie-ins, is that it makes it harder and harder to get matchups like this. But Mississippi State versus Houston, right? You have 2 total offensive coaches that have really leaned on their defense this year, right? And Holgerson and Leach, guys that are known for like the spread offense and the wide open, and meanwhile both those teams have good defenses this year.
They do, but with Leach, I don't know if that form, his regular season forms, will carry over to a bowl game. That's what I'm worried about, Leach. Is that it just seems there's a big drop off in bowl and regular season performance with Leach.
Generally,
yeah.
I also like Kansas State against West Virginia. I just love that Kansas State offense. I've been a big fan of it for a long time. It just looks like nothing's happening there. It's kind of, every play is kind of like they drop the exact same play. The quarterback comes back, the running back comes around, and it's almost like an option / the hidden ball trick, right? And it's like you don't quite know who has it. And then it's like some 4'8" running back that gets it, that runs like a 4-flat 40, and he's just flying down the sideline. And they always get these guys. I don't know, like you never hear about like other schools recruiting these undersized running backs like Kansas State does, and they have like tremendous success with it. Even the backup for Deuce's backup is also the same size. Once again, about 5'2" and 110 pounds, and runs like a 4-flat 40. They've been doing this forever. Remember Sproles? I mean, Sproles was the same way there.
Love Sproles.
That
They
upset game in the Oklahoma game.
Yeah, same thing. Same thing. Kansas State. Game.
Yeah. And the thing is with Kansas State is they've always had that good linebacker play. And one thing I've noticed with them has been just the offensive, defensive lines. They're really a tough team, man. They play really hard. Love the way they play. Skylar Thompson, I'm telling you, this guy's going to be a backup in the NFL. I really see that.
Generally, they remember Colin Klein. I thought he was going to be that too, but he never was.
He's got the accurate. But he's got much more accurate.
He is a little better. They always have some good wide receivers too at Kansas State. Lockett on Seattle's from Kansas State. They have, they're always underrated there, but they always have some guys that can fly. I like them in this spot. West Virginia is so inconsistent, and a team like this can really make them look bad.
Oh yeah, that can definitely happen. And one thing what's struggling with West Virginia right now is their defense. They're giving up a lot of yardage on the ground, and that could be an issue here, especially against Kansas State.
Yeah, Kansas State is just one of those teams. And I think that the first time Bill Snyder retired, I don't think they found the right coach, but I think this time with Kleiman that they do have the right guy. That this guy, he is like a Bill Snyder type, he loves to cover the spread too. He just loves to cover, which I appreciate. Then you have, Penn State and Michigan, and this is one of these things. Penn State's got 3 losses, but, they're all they have the bad loss against Illinois, right? So they have a bad loss, but they have a win against, they beat Auburn. They lost to Ohio State in the game they covered. They had it all the way, cover all the way. And then the game at Iowa. Oh, they beat Iowa, right? No, they lost to Iowa. No. What was their loss? I think it was Iowa. Let's see. Penn State lost to Iowa. At Iowa, they lost at home to Illinois, and then Ohio State. So they lost 3 in a row, came back, beat Maryland last week. And now they play Michigan. But it's at Penn State. This would be, I don't know why this isn't the night game. I don't know. This is the time of year where Penn State gets drilled. Where Michigan gets drilled, right? This is the time of year where usually the wheels fall off the cart.
Yeah, it is. The issue I have here with Penn State is their ground game is they're not getting much on the ground here over the past 3 games. They average just 2.1 yards a carry. Then they're going to put everything on the shoulder here. Sean Clifford. But the defense has struggled as well. I just see Michigan now getting a little bit more out of their quarterback, Cade McNamara. Remember, he wasn't doing a whole lot early to start the season, and he's improving. I would lean to this one, Michigan side.
Tough for me to get behind Michigan. It's just tough at this time of year. We got Rice against Western Kentucky, Coastal Carolina against Georgia State. Of course, Coastal's quarterback gone for the season. Yep. That's a big deal because he's good. Arizona against Utah. Arizona in the win column, 1-8. Congratulations to the Wildcats. Texas State against Georgia Southern. App State against USA, South Alabama. Troy versus Lafayette, Louisiana, Lafayette. Texas Tech, Iowa State. Marshall, UAB. La Tech, Charlotte. And my game, Florida State, Miami. Got UTSA, Southern Miss. Georgia Tech, Boston College. Virginia Tech, Duke. Middle Tennessee, FIU. Old Dominion, FAU. Iowa, Minnesota. Ohio State, Purdue. Kind of a nice cesspool of games there. I mean, this is pretty much how this day is, and these are the this is like if they had a day like this every day of every Saturday of the year, I'd be fine with it. I understand that it looks like a mishmash of crap to a lot of people. I understand that. I still like it.
Yeah, I don't see Arizona here matching up here with offensively with Utah. It's a big number here. You mentioned the quarterback issue here with Coastal Carolina. It's still 10.5 points here. I'll stay away with it. One dog I do like South Alabama plus the 22.5 right now. I like the plus points with South Alabama. I always talk about elite defenses. We think of Appalachian State maybe as an elite type of team in a mid-major. Well, they're not, because in a Sun Belt conference, and you're giving up 354 yards and 25 points a game, that's not elite.
So
I'll look to South Alabama. No, they're not elite. Plus, I'll look at the plus here with South Alabama in that one. And the ULB Marshall game, Marshall's getting good quarterback play right now. I'll look at Marshall laying the points.
They're putting some points up. I kind of like Charlotte plus the 7 against La Tech.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris Reynolds, senior quarterback. I like that spot too.
I like that one. And another one I was looking at while we were talking.
La Tech's they're terrible this year.
Middle Tennessee minus 10 against FIU.
Middle Tennessee State's got quarterback issues here. It looks like their starter's out of this one. It's going to be Mike Bielello.
FIU just has issues.
Oh, yeah, they're a horrible team. I mean, they're going to 500 yards. Like we said, by the way, he will get fired, by the way, because his contract runs out at the end of the year.
He might he might end up right down the street at Miami, the way things are going. Joe, you like any of these games? I know there are super attractive ones in here.
Super attractive. I am liking the over in that App State, South Alabama, and I like that you're thinking South Alabama will cover because I think it makes it stronger. Both these teams can put up points. We look at App State; they're going to get nowhere near they did in the last couple. They averaged 53.5 in their last 2 games. The South Alabama's defense isn't going to back down that much, but I think this is going to definitely be one that gets over that, gets into the 60s. It's 55 right now. I'm looking at. So give me the over in that. And I think Georgia gets a big cover. I think that one is definitely going to be one the Bulldogs walk away. They've been doing so well on the road, covering as a road favorite. So give me Georgia as well.
It seems that they have like that avalanche moment where just like all of a sudden they're running downhill and then very, very hard to stop. And it's like Tennessee needs to avoid like back-to-back quick touchdowns from Georgia. That's where they get you. They get that punt block or something going. It's like that's when and it goes from all of a sudden a 3-point lead, 7-point lead to 21 in a hurry.
Absolutely.
And then with that Minnesota-Iowa game, Spencer Petras is banged up. They cleared him to play, but he may not be 100%. They've been getting the backup Padilla prepared to start this game. He's only completing half his passes. We know the Golden Gophers have had issues at running back. I think they've lost their top 3 running backs for the year. And Tanner Morgan, you just can't trust him. You know, they like to keep him around 15 pass attempts per game. But when he gets in the 20s, he gets the team in trouble. I look at the under there, Minnesota, Iowa.
Yeah, 37 is the total in that game.
Yep.
So it is, I can't figure out Iowa State this year. Minus 10.5 here against Texas Tech, who's pretty miserable themselves. And Iowa State, I mean, the expectations, it's like that their Oklahoma, Iowa State game should have been the big one. But now it's like, they've got 3 losses. They lose here in Lubbock. They go 6-4. And there haven't been really good losses, any of them that they've had.
God,
they've been bad losses. So it's like, they can lose to anybody. Also, this Ohio State Purdue, obviously the public all over Purdue in this one, plus the points, but the line continues to go up. That's one that you kind of look at the line movement. I'm not a big line movement guy. Normally, it's like if I like a team and the line moves, higher, whatever, then I bet it even more. But in this one, a little bit leery because, Purdue coming off of the win over Michigan State and Ohio State, they look so vulnerable on defense. But showing 41% of the money on Ohio State, 59% on Purdue, but the line still continuing to rise, looking to go 21 now. So, I'm not really sure.
Interesting.
Yeah, I still can't get behind Ohio State. Like, for me, it's either Purdue or nothing. So it might be nothing.
Yeah, I'm with you there on the nothing. The thing we always worry about the quarterback. He didn't get in trouble with interception last week, but against a speedy secondary like Ohio State, I'd be a little nervous taking Purdue because of his ability to throw a lot of interceptions. O'Connell.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough spot, and of course, Ohio State a ton to play for here too. But that hasn't always helped them so much. So it's Purdue.
That's where they normally let themselves down.
Purdue, Michigan State, Michigan is how they finish this year.
Yeah. Tough schedule, that's for sure.
But they've had a soft schedule up until this point.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Cincinnati has more wins over top 10 ranked teams. Cincinnati has beaten the same teams, the common opponents, yet Ohio State is ranked ahead. Doesn't make any sense.
None.
The only difference, the only non-common out of conference opponent is Akron. Congratulations. And that's all I gotta say. You beat Akron. I thought
in the past we were able to use this information and really make money on it from the teams that were outside the playoff bubble, like Cincinnati, but they really haven't helped themselves with these closer wins than expected. In the past, remember, what was it? Was it Wisconsin one day against Indiana, put up almost 80 on them? I think they put up 80 on it to try to get some style points. That was we're all looking for that type of performance. We might get it against South Florida because South Florida's defense has been terrible.
All right, I guess we move on then. Missouri, South Carolina, Tulane, Tulsa, UTEP, North Texas. Yuck. Wow. I didn't even realize that was on the schedule. That is not good news for anybody. It's unfair. Is that one of those games that's like not even on TV at all?
They get a lot of ESPN Plus. I know I've seen a lot of UTEP on ESPN Plus. That is ESPN Plus. Yep, ESPN
Sars.
Plus. Yeah.
Got to go to Matt Sars, right?
Yeah. Well, he's ESPN Network, so it'll be ESPN Plus.
Oof. Yeah, that's uncalled for this time of the year.
Well, at least it's going on at 4 Eastern when there's a lot of other games on. Usually UTEP's at 9 Eastern, and you can get the second half of their games when the late night games start. So they got this one early, so you can miss it.
Just for that reason.
It's going to leave a mark. Got Michigan State, Maryland, Hawaii against UNLV. That's not really much better, to be honest with you. Oregon State against Stanford. That one's got to be on Pac-12 because it's semi-interesting on paper. ULM versus Arkansas State. Washington, Arizona State. Oh, God. Vandy, Kentucky. Why? Just why? Colorado State against Air Force. Well, there's a good one. 3-6 versus 6-3. That actually is probably going to be a good game. Ole Miss against Texas A&M. This has got to be one of the featured games of the day.
Yes, that's got to be it.
Wake Forest against NC State. Fresno against New Mexico. All right, stop there.
Oh, goodness.
God, I still have it together. Yeah, Arkansas State, Louisiana Monroe. Louisiana Monroe actually has been playing some pretty decent football. They've been much better than this. And Butch Jones, he had that nice run at Cincinnati after when he took over. But since then, right, when he went to Tennessee and now here at Arkansas State, he's nothing. Didn't he coach under Saban at Alabama too? Didn't he get one of those?
I think so.
I think he got one of those gigs under Saban.
Yeah.
Because he was under Kelly at Cincinnati. Then they promoted him he was under Kelly at Central Michigan. And then they gave him the Central Michigan job. And then when Kelly left Cincinnati, they gave him the Cincinnati job. And then he was good at Cincinnati. And then he went to Tennessee. And since then, well, he's basically been straight trash. It's kind of like, what's the guy that started the Gonzaga program? What was his name again?
Oh, the guy, Monson?
Yeah. Same thing. And also Dan Hawkins at Boise. Same thing,
that's right?
It's like these guys, they did really well at these lesser programs, and then they went for the big one, and then they fell flat on their face, and then, they went back to lesser programs, and you know what? They're falling flat on their face there again.
You should look at the contract Dan Monson at Long Beach State. I think he gets a cut of TV rights. It's amazing how much he makes. It's crazy, that contract, and he's still there. He's happy. He's smiling. I watched the game when they covered against. They didn't cover. They were ready against Idaho. He's out there smiling, loving life.
Well, it's got he's got the beaches. It's got it all going. What up, beaches? Yeah. How do you do the name change? How do you just change the name of your team if you're not, especially if you're not a Native American team? It's like just.
Weren't they the 49ers? They changed they're the beaches now. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, last year.
He did?
Yeah, they changed from the Long Beach State 49ers to the Long Beach State Beaches. What up, Beaches? One of the worst names out there. Beaches. There's the Beaches. There's the Presbyterian Blue Hose, which are red hose, blue hose, one hose, two hose.
The thing too is when you think about beaches in Southern California, Long Beach doesn't come to mind. What comes to mind? Huntington Beach, Venice. There's all these great beaches.
There's way better beaches.
Long Beach. You do not want to take a girl to Long Beach. Okay,
yeah.
That's cesspool action over there.
Yeah.
It's too close. It's too close to San Pedro, where all these ships come in and whatnot. It's kind of nasty waters over there.
It's like here taking them to the harbor. It's like it doesn't really. It's like we have like the top beaches in the world. It's like, we'll take you over to Kahului Harbor or something. It's like it doesn't make any sense. Oh man, I don't know. Oregon State showed signs of life. They've been really good in Corvallis, hosting Stanford here, who really is terrible. I don't know what Shaw's up to there. You got to figure maybe he's in trouble. At Stanford, it's like they're not used to losing this much.
No, and they don't draw very well either. That new stadium they had, they're not playing exciting football. And one of the things with Stanford is the lack of the home field. It's just not a draw. And there were complaints. Well, they play games at night, and the people out there don't like to go see football at night. It's just a lot of nonsense stuff. But problem with the Oregon State's issue is their defense, right? I mean, they fired the defensive coordinator after that loss to Colorado. How do you lose to Colorado?
Was it Stanford or Cal where they had like the guys were camping out in the redwood trees outside the stadium because they didn't want to take them down? That's Cal. That's
Stanford because the tree is their logo, right?
Isn't so they were like camping out up in the trees because they didn't want them to cut them down to expand the athletic complex. And Brett Musburger was like, a bunch of tree huggers. He was like, went off on them and the thing. It was like, well, it's like, I remember reading like the commentary on the internet. People were like, well, Brent, let me get you a fresh axe handle and, to go take care of some business over there. It was like, yikes.
Oh, you can't. It's hard to chop trees down out here. I mean, a buddy of mine ran a shop and there was this big tree that was blocking his sign. And they wouldn't let him chop it down. So
yeah, here it's like you can chop trees, but if you want to build land, oh man, it's like forget it.
Here's the issue with Oregon State. You give up 558 yards to Colorado. You give up 520 yards to Cal.
Yep.
So that's what you're dealing there when you're dealing with Oregon.
Terrible on the road, good at home.
Yep.
Terrible on the road, good at home.
They're an old school Pac-10 team that wins games with playing horrible defense.
Joe, what do you think of this nice slot of games?
I think Oregon State has to come out and beat this Stanford team. We saw what happened to Stanford last week. They just got blown out of the water. 1-5 against the spread their last 6 games. If Oregon State doesn't come out and play a really strong, like they've got a great run game. They can pass the ball. I think they'll throw off Stanford's defense. So I'm willing to gamble on Oregon State. And then I like Ole Miss plus the points. I think this one is a really tight back and forth battle with Texas A&M. So I'm willing to take them at home plus those points. They've been doing really well lately. 8-2 straight up in their last 10 games.
Tony, any of those two?
Yeah, I'm not as I would look to take the points with Stanford only because I would mention with how horrible the defense is right now for Oregon State and the turmoil going on in the program with the firing the defensive coordinator. I would look again at button heads with Joe today. I'm going to be looking at Texas A&M in this one. It's okay. It's all right. I just think against the better defensive teams, I think this is where it's the difference here with the Leach's team. When you go up against the strong defenses, this is where he falters. And I think this is a spot here where Texas A&M covers this one. And Tulsa -3 against a terrible Tulane team.
Yeah, I really can't stand Washington. You know, I'm going to go with Arizona State here with Herm.
Yeah.
I know he hasn't been good on the road this season. I'd say the 6-3 at this point for this Arizona State team, probably a drop disappointing, but still headed in the right direction. They win here, they can get to 7 wins. They could still be an 8-win team, 8-9 win team, because they got Arizona right still on the schedule for that last game of the season. So that one you got to count as a win at this point. Even though they've had tremendous success against Arizona State. But Washington, I think, is a little bit of a fraud. And I think last week, the fact that people were even giving them a semblance of respect, the Sharps, I mean, were all over Washington in that game against Oregon. They got crushed in that thing. And I really liked the way that Washington, trash-talked them enough that Oregon wanted to punch in an extra touchdown there with 12 seconds left to go in the game. They were on the goal line. There was no way they were going to take a knee there. They were going to punch it in, and then they got marked short on the replay when they ran the jet sweep on them, with 20 seconds left to go in the game, up by 8. And they were lining up to run a play. They didn't realize, I think, that the clock was running when they put the ball down, or else I think they would have called timeout and punched it in. They were really mad, the Ducks, in that one. I know Cristobal is a former Miami guy, so that's what we do. We do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of turmoil right now with Washington. The head coach is suspended for the day with that incident with the player, and they just fired their offensive coordinator. Their offense has been terrible. And they're only averaging 292 yards against the Pac-12. They failed to cover 5 of 6, and Arizona State came with a really strong performance against USC. And the quarterback play is a huge difference here with Arizona State and Washington as well.
One of those ones where maybe Chris Peterson should have never left Boise, because it's like the what he's left over at Washington isn't pretty either. I don't know. Hartson seems to be doing a better job at Auburn, than Peterson did at Washington, which is a little surprising.
Then your blowout game of the week will be, I think you mentioned the Fresno State game. Yeah, that's the blowout game of the week. New Mexico, we're going to see C.J. Montez again. You want to see a Comedy Store tomorrow? He may get to start. The first and second string are injured. C.J. Montez looks to be the guy to get the start. If you want some comedy, at night, watch that game.
Well, we could go for the double blowout, because I think Texas blows out Kansas too, and at that 7:30 slot. It's been a frustrating year for Sarkisian. They're actually under 500 going into this game, 4-5. They certainly have the way better athletes. If they lose to Kansas, it's all over. It'll be one and done for Sarkisian. They lose this one.
That's a blowout game. That's what they do. You blow out a team like this, and you just run it up, and you never take the foot off the gas. That's what you do when you're like Texas and you've had a horrible season.
How about the job Jerry Kill did last week for TCU against Baylor? I mean, this guy can flat out coach, and we talked about him on last week's show. Like, this guy's gotten it done. No matter where he's been.
He changed the culture at Minnesota. He never really got the quarterback situation corrected, but he got the running game down. He got the line playing well, and more importantly, he got the defense playing well, and that's what he did at Northern Illinois. He had that defense really played well, and they did that. With TCU, is basically just changing the quarterback. They made a quarterback switch. The backup saw play against Kansas State. The backup put up some great numbers, so they said, well, what do we got to lose? Let's go with the backup, and he put up some big numbers last week. and they're going with the backup again this week. So that's why I'll look at TCU plus the points.
Joe, anything on these later games? Got Notre Dame, Virginia, Arkansas, LSU in this same slot. That's a trophy game. I don't remember what trophy.
We're going up to what time here, Mitch?
We'll go all the way. Oregon up to
all the way.
Yeah,
we're going all the way.
Yes. But you gotta watch. You gotta watch what you say on these programs because it will get.
See,
bad.
I can't even say.
We had this. We had Rod's. I don't even remember what he called his play today. It wasn't good.
No.
I'm not repeating.
No one's allowed to use the Urban Dictionary on our morning programs anymore. It's like
stay on the track. Stay on the track.
He's been saying that for the last couple of weeks, and I've been cringing every time. So, I just don't want to say anything. Let's talk about the Nevada.
You had Googled it before in the Urban Dictionary, and you didn't let us know?
I've heard that expression before.
Oh, really?
I didn't know how to let you guys know. Yeah, I didn't know how to let you guys know.
I'd never heard that before.
No?
No.
I had.
Oh.
So.
Okay. Now we know. All right.
Again, I
not gonna ask where or when. Just gonna
not talk.
That's it.
Sports, Nevada and San Diego State. I'm excited for this one. I think this is going to be a really good game between these two. I want to hear your guys' opinion. I'm leaning on Nevada plus the points. I can't even talk. Not saying anything.
Yeah, I'm with you there because Nevada's actually beat San Diego State straight up their past two meetings, so they're not intimidated by this Aztecs, toughness in their defense because they beat them twice straight up in a row. They're getting better play from their quarterback, Carson Strong, 71% completion rate, almost 8 yards per pass attempt. And one thing to note here is the San Diego State team is just one-dimensional. All they do is run, and they got a quarterback that can't even complete half his passes. I mean, I see Lucas Johnson in their step-up game against Fresno State, 45% completion rate. That's horrible. And I'm going to look here at Nevada.
Yeah, I like Nevada a lot this year. I like those wide receivers. I like the way that they're throwing the football. Also, I think they'll be able to slow down the San Diego State run a lot better than San Diego State will be able to throw down their pass. Strong is good at QB, and those receivers are NFL quality, I think, in Nevada.
And you know what? If you look at the stats at Pick Dogs, they've covered as an underdog in their last 9 games in the situation for those dog streaks.
And San Diego State is only averaging 288 yards offensively against the Mountain West. That's taking all the non-conference games out of there. That's terrible.
Well, there's our circle game. Any of these other late ones?
I think it's Joe, right? Because she threw that game to us, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm leery of taking Oregon to cover this 13.5, 14 points, but I think they're going to. Oh, no, I keep looking at them against the spread. They're not doing that well. Washington State has been really covering. This is one that I've got circled to look more into. I can see it. For me, it goes either one way. Oregon completely blows them out of the water, winning this by at least 3 touchdowns, or Washington State covers this and loses by only a couple.
So this game between LSU and Arkansas is the trophy game. Of course, this one is for the Golden Boot. And the Golden Boot is actually 24 karat gold.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And this one has been super competitive. So I didn't realize the Golden Boot weighed over 200 pounds.
Like a lot of TV money.
4 feet tall,
SEC.
200-pound trophy. Trophy's 24 karat gold resembles the state of Arkansas and Louisiana, which together look like a boot. The Golden Boot trophy.
It's what put together, Mitch?
Arkansas and Louisiana, the 2 states.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, nice.
That's cool.
It's beautiful.
I look at the home dog in that game. Razorbacks defense, the pass defense has given up a lot of yardage and 8.6 yards per pass step. And Max Johnson better at home. I would look at the home dog in that one.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things like Coach O in these type of games. This is where he gets the rah thing going.
Yeah.
Very, very tough. I like Washington State plus the points against Oregon. I like Oregon to win the game. I just don't think they cover.
I think you're going to see a similar game like you saw in that Colorado game where Oregon gets the lead, but their defense can't allow them to expand it more because they give up too much. They gave up too many yards against Colorado. Colorado was able to cover that game, and let me tell you, Washington State is a much better offense, and Jay DeLaura is a better quarterback than what Colorado has. So I could see definitely Washington State covering that one. I like Colorado and UCLA going over the total. We're seeing the Buffaloes. They're starting to, their offense is gaining ground here. They beat Oregon State last week with 382 yards, 37 points. And we're seeing the Bruins coming off their bye week. They're on a 2-game losing streak. They were embarrassed at Utah. They lost to Oregon. I see them coming over the big performance here. Offensively, they've averaged over 400 yards in 4 of their past 6 Pac-12 games. Remember, they had 483 yards in LSU. And Colorado's defense is nothing to brag about. When you look at them here, they're giving up nearly 500 yards over their past 3 Pac-12 games. So I see that one. UCLA going over the total with Colorado. And I'm with you there with the dog there. We talked about that Washington State Oregon game. And I also like Utah State plus the 4.5 against San Jose State. Nick Starkel, this guy can't even complete half his passes in the Mountain West.
What happened from last year to this year, right? I mean,
yeah,
he's fallen off the map.
Yeah. Utah State's in line for a Mountain West title game. So this is a big game for Utah State. Only one loss.
I mean, what's the deal with UCLA? I mean, they've got to be sick of Chip Kelly at this point. It's like you have this UCLA program. They haven't really been good since the Troy Aikman teams. And it's like, what's going on there? It's like
the thing about it, it's like with UCLA, it's the defense. I mean, you're getting good offense from him, but he doesn't. Chip Kelly had a really good defensive coordinator at Oregon. He doesn't have that with UCLA, and that's been the problem. Is they're giving up too many. Their pass defense has been horrible.
Why can they not recruit there?
Fresno State.
Why can't you recruit at UCLA? It's like it's the dream job. Are they just not paying enough? Because it's like I'm not really sure what it is. Because you have number one, it's UCLA. Number two, it's like they take the players to the stadium. Check out the Rose Bowl. Like there's a better place to play than that. It's like I don't understand it.
The problem with the Pac-12 is there's a lot of offensive coordinators get in some of the big schools get promoted to head coaching, and these guys don't have their eye on the ball on defense, and that's been the problem there. I mean, Pete Carroll was the last defensive style coach. There and they played well on both ends of the football. Plus, he was NFL. He had training in the NFL, so he knew how important the defense was. But Chip Kelly does not have that defensive coordinator at UCLA that he had at Oregon, and it's the pass defense that's screwing them. They're doing well offensively. They had pretty much all their starters back, but they can't make stops. That's really come. Look at that Fresno game where they lost.
Joe, anything left on the card here for you? Before we go to the NFL.
No, I'm good to move on.
All right.
You guys good to move on?
I'm good.
I keep going back to that Oregon one. I think Oregon has too much to prove, you guys. I'm really leery of taking Washington State plus the points. I think Oregon really has to prove.
I think Oregon State's going to win the game. I think they're going to win the game. I think it's going to be 8-9 points, though. It's like that's what they've done this year. That's what they've done.
To cover a line like that, you need to get a good performance out of the defense.
Yeah.
They have a good defensive line. I like.
Yeah, but that is true. But their back seven. When you watch that Colorado game, look at all these receivers that had all this space to run after the catch. That's the problem. They're not tight enough defensively against the pass.
How vulnerable is Washington State's quarterback to being sacked? How is his offensive line? I don't have the numbers in front of me. Does he have a really solid offensive line?
DeLaura, actually, the team improved with him in the lineup because he had some injuries early on. And let's see if I don't have those stats up there with sacks allowed with DeLaura, but I do know that he's averaging 7.7 yards per pass attempt. So he has been able to.
Yeah, he's
more
getting
importantly,
time.
Is you're able to throw the football downfield. And if you can throw the ball downfield, that means your line's doing their job. I mean, if you look at their passing game over their past 5 games, 260 yards. They're averaging 8.3 yards per pass attempt. That means that his line is giving him time to throw the football downfield. He's not checking down. The yards per pass attempt is telling, because if your quarterback can throw the football downfield, that means he's getting time in the pocket. He's not checking down.
Yeah.
So this morning, someone in the comments before we go to NFL said that a handicapper on another show on another site was 2-13 in his last 15 NFL picks on his show, and he gave out what his NHL pick was this morning. Do we just straight fade it blindly here for a dime, or do we actually maybe look, or do we actually have to research the game?
I'd research the game if I was you. For sure.
If you're in this long enough, you will go through some streaks like that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, absolutely you will. But this is from a competitor that I don't respect. So I mean, this could go on. This could go on for a really long time, and I don't want to miss it. It's kind of like when the Kings get running bad, right? It's like you got to get on that streak, or else it's like you're going to miss it. There's two teams that in sports that are fully capable of putting together tremendously long losing streaks and winning streaks. Yes. And that is the Sacramento Kings and the Arizona Diamondbacks. They either win in bunches, they lose in bunches. One more.
Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh, the Rays too. Yep. You want to see a 20-game losing streak? You get on board one of those teams. Or a 20-game winning streak. Same thing. They do not go through like 2 wins, a loss like the Braves. 3 wins, a loss. Does not happen.
Really streaky, Speaking of the Braves, Scott Boras took a shot at the Braves about these teams tanking. That's why they won the World Series, because the teams were tanking, helping them win.
Yeah, I don't think the Astros.
Wake up, Scott! This has been going on for 20 years, man. Tanking's been going on since Popovich got over 20 years. When he got was it Robinson or Duncan? I think he got Duncan, right? That's when tanking was invented. Was Popovich?
Yep. Yeah. Jim Mora did that for all his years, and they fired him. No, he didn't. Jim Mora was terrible. Terrible. There was no better thing for my home construction project than Jim Mora Jr. and Josh Rosen together.
You can research those. Yep. If you want to, you'll find those podcasts somewhere, and you'll be able. We covered those games, those teams with
so much money. Oh my God, we won,
especially against Stanford. That's why I remember the Stanford game.
We started betting. We started betting Tuesday and continued all the way on through game time on Saturday. It was just, I was rolling it over into it. And Tony's like, "Well, how did we do this week?" I'm like, "Well, we got a new lanai outside."
Yeah, we had the camera right there. This is what we did. Mora's financing this. And there was another coach before Mora, right? There was another one.
I mean, my whole list of them. My whole yard, all the exterior of my house was our entire landscaping was paid for by Jim Mora Jr.'s coaching decisions. And I'm not exaggerating, joking, anything like that. It honestly was. Like all the rock work, all the exotic trees that we got, those lipstick palms, like $900 a piece or whatever they cost. He paid for all of them. And I appreciate it.
Just real quick here, guys, with that Virginia game, keep an eye on the quarterback, Armstrong. He's going to be a game time decision. That's a big injury there. And NC State, Wake Forest, I can only see this one going over because Wake Forest put a lot of points against NC State the last 2 seasons.
So Joe is currently on a 2-13 losing streak? I don't think so.
Yeah, not the case, but that's okay. He can talk.
Well, he doesn't have the balls to even have a real name or picture or anything, so
no.
Must be a real man. Real tough guy.
Real tough guy in the comments.
Real genius. That's weird. I hate people like that. Biggest cowards in the game. Anyways, Titans against the Saints, the Patriots against the Browns, Steelers, Lions, Colts, Jaguars. Let's look at those 4. Tony, anything jump off the page at you? Titans, I mean, they really put on a show against the Rams. Joe and I both had them on the money line in that game. Gave it out. And
what was the other one you had? Was
Lions, Steelers, Colts, Jaguars, and Patriots, Browns.
I've been riding Patriots the last couple of seasons. They've been coming through for me. So I will look again at leaning toward the Patriots side, and I would look at Tennessee. Its issue with the Saints is the quarterback play, right? They got injuries and that's there. So,
but the line only at 3 only almost looks suspicious.
Well, because the Henry injury too, right? So I think there's 2 key injuries in this game, but I think Tennessee. We saw with Tennessee. It's not just Henry. I mean, the defense is starting to play really well here of late for Tennessee. And at home, I would look at the home team in that game. And again, Pittsburgh is the type of team that will beat Detroit 15-12. I can see that happening because Detroit is a desperate team right now. They're trying to get a victory. It's a short week here for the Steelers. I could see the Lions getting under that number.
Yeah, I like the Lions in that one as well, which is weird because it's tough for me to put money on Jared Goff and Dan Campbell. It's kind of like that Jim Moore, Josh Rosen situation all over again. I also like the Colts against the Jags. I think the fact that it's 10.5 just shows you, they're begging for Jags money because it's going to be ugly.
Yeah, I absolutely love that one. That's one that we didn't put in our circuit picks, I don't think. We were talking about it, but I really think the Jags, we saw a great game out of them last week. People are expecting them to cover this spread, and it's not going to happen. This Colts team is going to come out so hard. I think they win this one by at least 12 points. So give me the Colts in that.
I like the Colts too, and I like the Browns against the Patriots. I just think Mac Jones is probably going to face a very tough pass rush in this one. I know Nick Chubb is out, but that didn't stop the Browns the last time he was out. They ran wild without him.
They get pressure on Burrow last week. So
yep, and I think Mac Jones hasn't really felt that kind of pressure, and I think the Browns. They're also Myles Garrett is just he's just gigantic, and so it's like he's not a guy you can dink and dunk around either. He's tough. Got the Cowboys and the Falcons, the Jets and the Bills, Washington football team. Just get a name already. And the Cardinals and the Panthers. I think Eskimos is good for Washington.
Can they name them the Eskimos? Because our football team had to change from the Eskimos in Edmonton.
Well, it's Dan Snyder.
They can't be the Edmonton Eskimos anymore.
It's Dan Snyder.
It's in jest.
It's Dan Snyder.
Yeah, it's in jest. It's
Let's call it. He's like, why don't we do what they did in Edmonton? Okay, yeah, I like Eskimos. We can do that. Dan, not what we were looking for. Yeah, Washington's in big trouble, I think.
Yeah, I can't see Washington with their quarterback situation. I just don't see them playing with Tampa Bay. And I look at the dog with Atlanta. Give me Atlanta plus the 10, plus the 9 in some places.
Falcons have won 3 of their last 4 very quietly, and not against the good teams, but that's okay. They don't need to win this game. Cowboys coming off a horrible performance. Got to figure they're going to be a little bit better this week, but it's kind of the Dallas that I thought they were at the beginning of the season. Is what we saw.
Yeah, their head coach looks more of a front runner to me. Things are going great, he gets the most out of them. When things go bad, it gets. I think some coaches are like that. When you think bounce back after a bad loss, but some of them may just get deeper, may struggle even more. Yep. I think he fits that profile. McCarthy fits that profile more than not bouncing back.
Tony T is with us every Friday at this time. Talk football, and I don't know what we're going to do after football, but we'll talk something. Always got something.
It'll be fun.
Let's make something up.
Yeah.
I'm with you guys on the Falcons, plus the points over the Cowboys here. And I like the over in that one. I think we are going to see a lot of points back and forth. I don't see their defenses, stopping each other. I really do think it's going to be an entertaining game that people like to see over what we just saw on Thursday Night Football. I know, Mitch, you love the defensive games. I do too. But if you're wanting an offensive game, I think this is the one.
Yeah, I don't like those offense games. Last night's game was just perfect for me. That first half, that was what it's all about. Make them earn it. It's like all this like giving these guys 60 yards on a pass interference because you touched a wide receiver. It's ridiculous. Make them earn the yards and let them play and go back to the old NFL 14-10 every single week, 10-7, 14-10. That was the scores every single week. That's how the AFL became part of the NFL. It's because
you'll only get the real football fans watching then.
I don't care.
Be so many. That's all I saw all over social media last night was this game so boring.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was so exciting.
Everywhere. So did I.
I really did.
It's just on the wrong side
of
it.
But what screwed the AFL was the NFL was a blackout rule for the NFL. When the home they would black out the games, there was no game in a lot of these cities, and the only football game that was on was an AFL game because of the blackout rule. They wouldn't televise the home teams back in those days. The NFL had only themselves to blame. We're not putting their games on TV.
There's someone that can screw it up. It's still the NFL.
It certainly was.
And that Steelers game.
That's why the Oakland Raiders were so popular, because out here in LA, it was always Raider games were on TV all the time. I wasn't alive then, but I read the history about it. The Raider games were on because I want to know why there's so many Raider fans out, because the Raiders were on TV every Sunday when the Rams were at home.
The Steelers
they were not televised games.
The Steelers Bears game, I thought, was everything that's wrong with the NFL. I had the Steelers in that game, and them still getting all those calls. It was just everything that's wrong with the NFL. Everything, just they were not going to take no for an answer that the Steelers were going to win that game. They just would not take, there was no way, not with the way that division is shaping up. It's like no chance.
What did you think of that roughing the passer call that Miami got last night on Lamar? There was one where the guy really pulled up. I can't remember who it was. And he just basically ran into him. And Lamar didn't didn't fall down, didn't do anything. Miami got a huge penalty on it.
It's the league is, there's some serious problems here. And there's some, the refs in general, they do a great job, right? In general, the refs do a great job. But it just seems that when they blow a call or when they miss a call or when they do something, it's just magnified because the impact of that, the games are so close in general. Most football games in the NFL come down to 2 or 3 plays over the course of the entire game, decide the entire game. And it's like, people could look at like a 42-10 game and say, oh, it was a blowout. But more than likely, there was a play back when it was, 7-7 or 7-0 that affected the entire game, and it went to a double-digit lead, and then all the strategy goes out the window. Everything changes. And, it comes down to 2 or 3 plays, and if the refs blow it on that play or intentionally blow it or whatever the case may be. But I think in some of these positions, I think it's important that the NFL say, that they lay it on the table at halftime and say, here's the position of the official sports betting partner of the NFL. Here's what their position is on this game. And let everyone else be the judge based on that. Because we're seeing calls that don't make any sense, and we're seeing rules that are making so the very worst calls are not reviewable, right? We know that the ones that swing the game, the ones that the holding call, the second down holding call where it goes from 2nd and 3 to 2nd and 13. So a second down play where you could run, you could pass, you could do basically anything. 2nd and 13 now, right? Becomes a total passing situation. And depending on where field position is, could turn a field goal situation into a punt, right? So not a reviewable call, but now the taunting rule is the worst of the worst, right? Because this doesn't even affect the actual play. I could see a holding call where a wide receiver holds the other guy, and it's always the ticky-tack holding call always seems to be on the wide receiver. But those are the ones, right, that always have the biggest impact on the play. That's why they get called. It's because when the wide receiver holds the cornerback on the corner and the running back comes through that hole, he's usually gone. Right? It's normally that's it. He gets into the secondary and it's either a foot race or it's a bull in a china shop. He's going to start knocking guys over and go for 20 to 30 yards. But that makes sense to me. Okay, but the taunting call is not related to anything that happened in that game or gave them any kind of advantage in that game. So how does that penalty reduce the taunting? Brings the game. Even Mike Tomlin, we need the game to be more manageable. How about this? First offense, $50,000. Second offense, $100,000. Third offense, $150,000. Fourth offense, $200,000. Fifth offense, $250,000. Keep going. And
here's the problem. Here's the problem with finding players. When you start going into their pocketbook, then you start getting into union and ownership relations. That's where they don't want to get. They don't want to shut down.
But it's not going to be.
They want to avoid. They would rather penalize than fine, because the penalty it keeps the relations calm. But when you start finding players, then you're going to start having players start mouthing off against the league, and then it starts to grow, and then of course the relations will start to crumble.
But you're finding a guy for his socks not touching his pants.
Yeah,
well. Remember, a lot of these owners are business owners, right? They want standards, and they want standards followed, and a lot of them it's just in their minds, and also too, it's a lot of the losing franchises. They're getting sick and tired of losing and seeing opposing players make fun of them. I think this came from the owners, and I think it's a lot of losing teams that don't like to see taunting against their bad teams.
I think the taunting is terrible, and I think the owners are the ones that started it. I think when the taunting, is a byproduct of the first down celebration.
Sure.
You know, that's what it is. It's when they eliminated the choreographed celebration with the Fun Bunch, right? They eliminated the choreographed celebration. Then they allowed it again. As soon as they allowed the choreographed celebration, it became the hide and seek with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the merry-go-round, the surfing, the whole thing. These choreographed celebrations, just terrible. I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, it's that first down thing that started the taunting. So it's like, why does you let that though affect the outcome of a game? And it's because it's subjective. We don't know exactly what happened in that taunting on Monday night. It's still not out, right? We don't know what was said.
All these players are mic'd, but they just don't want to release it, right? Because we see them mic'd up. We see all these shows with these.
Well, just like they didn't show the replay in the Miami-Jacksonville game that there was still time left on the clock to kick the field goal.
Yeah.
We didn't see that either, and it's we don't. It's like it's all this subjective stuff. So I believe that it's in the best interest of the league and everybody involved to show the position and interest of the official sports book of the NFL and what effect that these calls have on that, because it does have an effect. What was the NFL's position if what was the official sports book of the NFL's position if the Bears won on the money line, as opposed to the Bears covering the spread and the Steelers winning on the money line? What would the difference be between the Bears winning with the spread, which my guess probably helps the sports book, but the Bears winning on the money line probably really hurt the sports book, right? So I don't know. I'm not sure. Unless a lot of people have the Steelers. Did they have the Steelers in parlays? I mean, we don't know what the position was.
You got to go look at European soccer to see if that has been an issue in European soccer. I don't think it has.
But there's not the subjective. There's not the ability for as many subjective calls in European soccer.
A lot of times in the box there can be some issues there.
Right. There can be, but the situation has to lead into this. In the NFL, you can throw a holding flag on any play and call it, and not and there could be a replay showing that this guy didn't hold at all.
Yeah.
And they're not going to overturn it for nothing. You could sit there and cry a river and scream at the press conference, and you'll get fined for that again. So I think when you start to see something like on Monday night where it was just one too many, right? It was just one too many. It was more than one too many. And if there's nothing going on, then there's nothing going on. Then that's great, But at least we know it. At least show me that there's nothing going on. Show me. I mean, these are publicly traded companies. So that information should be readily available anyway to shareholders and people interested in purchasing stock. I don't know. To me, it's like, I think the game has lost some credibility because of the officiating and the subjective calls. And that's why I've become less of a fan of the NFL over the years. I mean, it started that they couldn't even spot the ball correctly. And we know this, right? They can't spot the ball correctly. Finally, they have a rule now, though, and we saw it last night, where if it's blatantly a horrific call, they can actually change it without the replay. It's like the guys.
One thing, I'm glad you brought this up, because the one sport that you remember all the controversy and the fire that went on in tennis. Ever since they've got this with tennis, changed their rules with I don't know what they call that
Cyclops.
That mechanism, the Cyclops. Ever since we don't see all the shenanigans in tennis anymore. So if they use more of the technology, we probably won't have these type of issues. And we saw it. Remember the Connors and all these guys back in McEnroe and how everyone used to scream, the Tass. Back in the day, actually, tennis was a little more popular when there's more controversy between you. I think it was better for the sport, but it's gone now. It's more of a it's not as controversial anymore as it used to be.
Yeah,
maybe they should put a chip in the football. That would be a good start.
Yeah, I think something. It's just I don't think we're asking for perfection. I think we're asking for consistency.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm the same way. It's like, I'm not perfect. you know, and believe me, I'm far from it, but I think I'm consistent. And I think that a lot of things out there, you know, that irk me, it's not that, you know, I know the rules, right? But I just want the rules to be consistent among all players. And it's like, I don't think we're getting that. I just don't think we're getting it. But anyways, we go back to these games. Chargers, Vikings, Seahawks, Packers, another fiasco.
Yeah.
Broncos, Eagles, Vegas, Chiefs. Now, two fiascos, right? The Vegas, this is the argument of not having a team in Vegas, right? Your coach and 2 first-round draft choices are now out the door within a matter of a month, you know, in Vegas. I still want to see Urban Meyer's emails for the last 10 years plus. Okay, I still want to see them. I think that they should have to release, all coaches should have to release all emails for the last 10 years. And we'll dig through them, and we'll decide, you know, who says what, and, you know, who's going to still be around and who's not going to be around. It's not one guy. Why is one guy judged and not everybody? Because my guess is not going to be pretty what we find for anybody. Imagine there's a head football coach. It's a dick, you know.
I'm all for privacy. I'm all for privacy. You should protect your privacy. Yeah. I don't think anything should be going out to people like that.
And then next, the HIPAA laws out the window, you know, in the NFL, you know, it's like with Aaron Rodgers. We all need to know, you know, everything about this guy all of a sudden. Then Denver Broncos and Philadelphia Eagles, Vegas Chiefs. I don't know. Tony, are we even playing football anymore?
Yeah, this is really a tough week in the NFL with these injuries and whether or not we're looking at Aaron Rodgers' situation. That one you're going to have to wait till the kickoff time is 4:25.
I got news for you. Here's the flash. News flash. He's in. It's in. Yeah. He's playing. You think anyone's going to have a problem tackling him in Seattle? You think this is going to be the excuse now? I don't want to tackle this guy.
No, I don't think so. Not with NFL guys. These guys, I don't think that'll be an issue there. But I would look at the dog there with the Seahawks, Russell Wilson. That Eagles Denver game, boy, you just want to bet against the Eagles every game, right? But except when they play Denver, then you scratch your head. One thing I would look under. Well, no, I'm not looking under. I'm looking over in the Carolina-Arizona game. I know P.J. Walker's quarterbacking, but Christian McCaffrey is going to get a lot of touches, may confuse Arizona's defense, and I think Arizona can actually score on this Panthers team. That's a low total 44. And the Charger game, it may lay 3. I think that's the right number.
Well, you got a team that used to lose bad all the time against a team that loses bad now all the time. It's like, what the hell just happened, right? I mean, that's been the Chargers for the last 5 years, and then this year it's the Vikings. You know, what the hell just happened? Joe, what do you think of these games? Right. I mean, this is like, after what we've seen in the NFL in recent weeks, it's just tough to even, you know, rely on anything. You know,
it is. I'm looking at the Raiders to get a nice win at home. We haven't heard any big stories in the last couple of days. They're incident free. So saw the meme going around about that. I think they get a great win over this Kansas City Chiefs team, who I cannot get behind whatsoever. They're just looking awful. I'm going to ride with the Packers. I think they get the job done. I think Russell Wilson's going to come out a little leery to throw that ball. I don't know about his finger, how he's going to be, if he'll be 100%.
He's looked good in practice.
He has?
He's looked good in practice.
I don't know. I still like the Packers at home in that one to get the win and cover. And then give me Denver against this Eagles team. I don't think the Eagles have what it takes to beat Denver, especially in Denver. They haven't been playing well on the road at all, the Eagles.
The only thing what got me nervous about looking at Green Bay is how Pete Carroll performs in these type of primetime games. Somehow these teams, this teams to perform in these primetime.
We saw that with the Bengals, right?
It's Clappy's spot, you know.
Yeah.
Clappy can fire up the troops, especially with Russell Wilson in there. It just seems that every year the Seahawks are in this spot. You know, they're 3-5, and you know, they're in this division with, like, someone's just hammering home wins, you know, win after win after win. And it's like, you know, somehow it's like, it always is
you can see it,
dire situation. They're 9 running backs in, you know. It's
is the backdoor cover. That also I'm worried about that.
Well,
You got to be clear and free here.
The home team's won 9 in a row in this series.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know.
This is a short number for Kansas City, -2. This is we're getting now to the point where it's a little 2.5. That's a real short number with KC against the Raiders, against that Raider pass defense. I don't know. I have to think about that one.
How
a little
about
bit.
this? Tua to the Raiders.
No.
No.
Hear me again. Tua
I don't.
to the Raiders. Draft day deal.
I don't like him there.
I think they're going to stick with Carr. I think Carr gives them a better chance to win than Tua does.
Nope.
Yeah, I think they have to stick with Carr.
Nope.
Yeah, look at the
No.
Yeah.
Tua.
He has his issues. Carr absolutely has his issues, but he's light
Tua.
night and day compared to Tua. No.
Tua.
Yeah.
No.
He's a perfect fit. Perfect
No.
fit. Perfect fit.
No, my dogs disagree.
Dogs have been good on the show.
It's the
They've been
ninth
good on
island.
my show.
It's the ninth island. He's a perfect fit there. He's a perfect fit. But he's going to the Raiders. It'll be
Oh, you really think?
Yeah, well, the
Really?
Dolphins have no
Who likes
first round pick this year, so they're going to ship him out.
He takes. I don't know if the Raiders show any interest.
Well, it's the ninth island. He fits in perfectly. They got Mariota, got Tua. It's a natural fit.
We've got an Aaron Rodgers hater in the comments. I don't know what his problem is.
Cancel Aaron Rodgers. I don't know what that means. Cancel Aaron Rodgers. I don't know.
Could be a Viking fan.
I don't know. I don't know what he is. He won't say. He's Big Mike. I don't know. I like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, so do I.
I like what he had to say.
Yeah,
Thought
I
it was
agree.
super intelligent. But anyways, well, that wraps up our show.
Any Rams Niners?
Oh, Rams Niners Monday Night Football. The Niners now plus 3.5 on light action. Moved a half a point. I don't think there's a worse quarterback and backup than Garoppolo and Trey Lance in all of the NFL, because there's no, at least Tom Brady and, whoever is backup and all these, their backup, even, Kyler Murray and Colt McCoy, we saw is effective. But here you have two guys that can't play at all and both make top starter money. So I don't understand what they're doing there. 0-4 at home.
Yeah, it's been bad at home. I'd look under the 49. I think I can see the defenses stepping up here.
Odell Beckham Jr. to the Rams. Did he just go to there because he doesn't want to actually catch the ball? Is that why you go there? Do you go to the team where you're least likely to see the ball?
Yeah, is he going to replace Cup? I mean, that's the problem. He could disrupt the chemistry of the team.
Not just Cup. I mean,
yeah, good point.
They got other guys too.
Cup's getting all the looks, and now you're gonna, Cup's getting all the passes. He's gonna get upset at that. He's gonna be on the sideline yelling at Stafford, "I want looks, I want passes."
More than that, more than Cup.
Yeah, he's gonna take it away. It's I don't get it.
Well, they got handled by the Titans last week, and they got absolutely crushed in the one-sided game. And you look at the Rams, and we talked about this.
That was the offensive line.
Well, we talked about this last week. Their wins had been against the Giants and the Houston Texans and the Lions. They beat the worst teams, and here they are against a better team missing their best player, and you get shellacked. I mean, they were never in it. So the Rams have Woods had 10 targets last week, 7 catches and 98 yards. Kupp had 13 targets, 11 catches. And then you had Higbee had 10 catches, or 10 targets, 5 yards, or 5 catches. Jefferson had 7 targets with 3 receptions. Where is there room for Beckham there?
The thing is, if the offensive line gave Stafford protection, better protection, there was no need. There was no need to bring in Beckham. They're fine at the receiver position. It's the offensive line that needs to give more time for Stafford.
Why is Stafford exonerated from the Detroit Lions record for the last 10 years? Why is he like, anyways, that wraps it up. Hello?
Hello?
Yes? Yes?
Mitch is on the phone.
I don't know who this is. They called me and hello.
Well, just a reminder, guys, drive-through starts in 45 minutes. I got, we'll have free picks for the late night games tonight. We got a lot of NBA. We got some college hoops. So tune in about 45 minutes. We'll have the drive-through.
Yeah, I heard you've got a great lineup of guests tonight.
They do
Tony.
tonight.
Yes.
So be sure to stay tuned for the drive-through. And, of course, thanks, everyone, for joining us. Make it an awesome night, a winning night. We appreciate Tony coming by every Friday. Covered a lot of ground, an hour and 20 minutes worth of football. We could have probably gone 3 hours.
4 probably.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's probably good. It's going to stretch it.
Maybe we'll start earlier next week. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Have a great night, winning night. Sure to stay tuned for the drive-thru. Everyone's talking about tonight's games, right? College hoops and NBA and all that other stuff. So tons of action.